Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you. From Ablaze Comics, this is the Boogyman issue number 1. It is written by Mathieu, Salvia. Artist is Djet. Letters is Nathan Kempf. And I'm going to say colors is done by Djet as well. I'm sorry I mispronounced any of those names. I'm pretty sure I did a couple wrong. Not on purpose, though. Anyways, so we got the Boogyman. I know nothing about this book before picking it up. I saw the cover. I thought it was pretty dope. After reading it, it was really dope. The art, the story, everything in it was excellent. I thought it was a great concept. So let's get into it. We start out with our main character, who's Elliot, is an 8-year-old boy. He's looks like he's in this like psychiatrist's office, and he's talking to this psychiatrist. And she basically like kind of asks to see his pictures that he's drawing, and she takes him to another room. We do find out that they are being watched by a whole bunch of other people due to this investigation. They're trying to find out leads to these, like the leads to a killer on a murder that the boy was involved in. They basically go in and start asking the boy if they know anything about the killer, and they find out that, I mean, he answers with he can't really tell them anything, and they're like, well, why not? And he's like, well, I really can't tell you. And then the book kind of shows us why he can't tell us, and because there's this big giant entity dog looking thing that's in the room with him. Then the book jumps back like a month earlier and we catch up with Elliot at home at night, and he's reading in his bed. It's after bedtime. We find out that he's supposed to be asleep. His dad enters the room, and coming to find out, he's actually reading old stories on the Boogeyman. We kind of find out that he does have like kind of an obsession, like or an imaginary friend type of scenario, where Elliot believes that the Boogeyman, exists, and he's there in the house. He does mention about the big dog being in the walls. And he also mentions that he puts toys under his bed, and the Boogeyman takes them from under his bed and leaves them in the basement. The dad has kind of seen evidence of the toys in the basement, but he just blames Elliot on it. The story jumps over, and at the same time this is going on, we kind of meet the book's bad guy. It's this regular dude outside who's being controlled by what looks like the Baba Yaga. The book kind of plays with a lot of it looks like Russian folklore, but we'll kind of get there in a second. She does have a Baba Yaga appearance. She's never actually named so far. They just kind of name her old lady. But we do see that she's controlling this man. Like with every time the guy has a bad thought or a bad action, these things grow out of his skin. As you can see right here, it's like coming out of his cheek. And she grabs it and eats it. It's like a demon looking thing. It's weird. But he is about to, unfortunately, go to Elliot's house and murder his family. Hence, the beginning of the book with the, murder mystery. The cops are trying to find out who the killer is after he murdered Elliot's parents. Baba Yaga kind of tells the guy it's either going to go either way, that the wife is going to answer the door, and he will have like moments where he'll get to look at the wife before he kills her, or the dad's going to answer the door and he's just going to smash him with a hammer. And kind of like things play out, we get to meet the mom and dad for a brief second. They have a conversation about Elliot and his obsession with the Boogeyman, and being kind of compared to imaginary friend type of thing. And the mom saying it's not so bad, the dad believing it to be a new formed obsession. Of course, they get a knock at the door, and the dad goes and answers the door, and just like the witch predicted, he just smashes them in the head with a hammer. At this time, Elliot had actually gone to sleep, and he is woken up by something, and it never really states, but he's kind of in a daze. He kind of remembers briefly, and he kind of mentions in the story that ever since this happened, it's been etched in his mind, but some things do change. He's not sure if it's memory or something else at play. But we do get the first glimpse of what he saw as he came down the stairs. His dad basically with his head caved in, blood everywhere. He's trying to grasp the situation on what's going on, not understanding about what happened to his parents. And then he sees the guy walking up, and I'll kind of show you, he's at the bottom. And Elliot quickly realizes that his, mom and dad, or at least his dad at this point, was murdered. Elliot takes off, runs, hides under the bed, and under the bed is where he hid the book that he was reading when he got caught. And sure enough, it has like a chapter that's all based on the Boogeyman, and it has this long, drawn out, description on the Boogeyman. I'll read you a little bit. And it's: the Boogeyman comes out at night, roams all the places void of light, be it at basements or beneath all beds. Beware of him, as he is silent where he treads. No lock or trap has held him back for hundreds, no thousands of years of attack. Seeking young or old are for him but a delight to satisfy the hunger of his jaws of might. And there's a couple more paragraphs after that. Basically, while reading this, he kind of summoned the Boogeyman, hence the name of the book, and one of the coolest concepts I thought. I didn't expect this at all. But we do see that the Baba Yaga is in the kitchen while the killer is still running around looking for Elliot at this point, because he's already taken care of the mom and dad. And all of a sudden, in the kitchen enters this big black, and she titles it as a darkness, but it looks like a big black dog, like wolf creature kind of thing. And sure enough, our Boogeyman, and I'll show you right there, it's really dark, but it kind of resembles like Rasputin. Hence the, what I told you, it kind of resembles like Russian folklore. But this, in fact, is our Boogeyman. He does have a name, we'll get there in a second. But him and the witch do have words. He states that he is protecting this house, that the family was under his protection, that since the killer has already taken out the mom and the dad, and now he is under, he is directly protecting Elliot. The woman kind of mentions that she recognizes him vaguely. She gets real close, and after that, he just mentions, that she needs to leave very quickly, or else, he's gonna have to do something else. He never mentioned what he's gonna do, but she doesn't mess around. She ends up taking his cue, and she ends up leaving. He ends up quickly locating the killer in the house, and we see that he does have some power. He is able to convince the killer that Elliot has himself run out of the house and he is escaping. The killer quickly, actually stating this out loud and running after Elliot, even though we know Elliot's upstairs under the bed. We also see that our Boogeyman actually calls the police, leaves an anonymous, actually picks up the phone, and in a voice he actually leaves an anonymous, I'd like to report a double murder at 526 Coronado Lane, hurry up, the killer took off, kind of thing. And then as he's doing this, he looks out the window and he notices that the woman did not fully leave. She left the house, but she is in fact called backup. And he's kind of talking to the dog, that the dog kind of resenting what's going on is what he says basically. But it's because he's chosen to protect the kid. He himself kind of states that he doesn't understand why this is happening, him being the Boogeyman. But we do find out quickly that Elliot has moved since then, and he has gone downstairs, and he is in the basement in this dresser, and the Boogeyman quickly finds him. At the same time, we split over and we find out that the old woman has called this guy with a hook or whatever. He looks pretty cool. But they have a conversation back and forth, and basically stated well, what are we doing outside, and she's like, hey, there's this guy inside, I think I recognize him, maybe I saw him 1,000 years ago, but it's crazy, it can't be him. And he's like, well, who's this supposed to be? And we get kind of the name drop, and his name is Father Death. He's supposed to be some big bad Boogeyman or something like that. And basically the guy with the hook stating that can't be Father Death, that the stories have to be true, this guy had to be dead or whatever. Basically inside they do show that our Father Death character is quickly gathering Elliot, trying to convince him that he's there to help. It doesn't really go so much as planned, because of course it's an 8-year-old kid. He's already scared of the Boogeyman. Everything that had just happened with his parents. So they do show that he ends up taking off running, and as he's running he gets captured by our guy with the hook. And that's kind of where this ends up leaving off, and they kind of give you a foretold thing of what's to come in the next issue. They show you a little like cup of all the variants that the book had. That's pretty much it. That I mean, but I love this book. I love the concept that it was like a bad guy, and for some reason, maybe the kid summoned him or something like that, and now he's turned into like the savior type figure. For a first issue, it was pretty dope. I highly suggest jumping on the series. I have no idea where it's gonna go. I mean, I have a couple ideas on where the next issue is gonna go and stuff like that. But they've already caught me off guard by the Boogeyman being the protector. But hey, that's all I got for you. Please like, comment, subscribe. That helps me very much. Let me down below if you picked this up. What do you think of the story? Maybe it didn't hit you the same way it hit me. If you passed it up, why'd you pass it up? Or maybe you just couldn't find it. Ablaze is a kind of off-brand, a very independent comic company. I have had some stores that had them and some stores that didn't. So I mean, there's always that as well. But hey, that's what I got for you. Y'all have a great weekend. That's when I'm filming this. And I will check y'all later. Hopefully more reviews coming. Bye.